It started with a smell, not rot, not death, but sweetness, like orchids after a heavy rain. This was the first sign that something was terribly wrong, or perhaps terribly right. At the STEM Bio Clinic, Dr. Evelyn Shaw had been overseeing a revolutionary treatment, organ bloom therapy. It was miraculous. Scars vanished, failing organs pulsed with new life. The therapy, derived from something called the Harvest Frequency Program, was a breakthrough. But then came the scent. Her patient, 28-year-old Leah Tran, was recovering from liver failure. During a checkup, Evelyn noticed a faint, otherworldly shimmer on her skin, like she'd been dusted with pollen. "Any discomfort?" Evelyn asked. Leah just smiled, a dreamy look in her eyes. "Just warmth," she said. "Like I'm growing something inside me." Evelyn felt a chill despite the clinical warmth of the room. "That's poetic," she managed. Leah nodded. "Sometimes I can hear it, like a heartbeat that isn't mine." Evelyn checked her vitals. Pulse was normal, but when she pressed a stethoscope to Leah's abdomen, she heard it too. A soft, rhythmic flutter, like leaves brushing against each other in a gentle breeze. It was impossible. By the end of the week, 5 more patients reported the same thing. A warmth under their ribs. Golden dust exhaled with every deep breath, and a faint humming that lulled them to sleep. The media loved it, calling it the bloom phenomenon. STEM Bio, trying to control the narrative, dismissed it as temporary cellular overgrowth. But Evelyn knew better. This was a warning. In the lab, she examined tissue samples under a high-powered microscope. What she saw wasn't human anymore. The cells weren't just regenerating, they were transforming. They were shaped like tiny petals, overlapping in perfect spirals, glowing with a soft, internal light. Each one pulsed with a rhythm she could almost feel in her own fingertips, a silent, biological song. This wasn't healing. This was metamorphosis. The call came at 2:44 a.m. It was Leah Tran. Her voice was trembling, laced with a strange awe. "Doctor, something's happening. It's—" The line dissolved into static, but it wasn't noise. It was a sound like breathing, deep and resonant. And underneath it, a faint, haunting melody, like someone humming through water. Evelyn didn't hesitate. She drove through the rain-slicked city, the air outside already smelling faintly, impossibly, of flowers. When she arrived, the sweet perfume was thick, clinging to the air in Leah's apartment. She found her on the bathroom floor. Leah's skin was almost translucent. Beneath it, Evelyn could see thin green vines pulsing where her veins should be, blooming into tight buds just under her ribs. Her chest rose and fell, but with each beat, tiny petals pressed outward, straining against her skin. Leah looked up, her eyes glassy but surprisingly calm. "It doesn't hurt anymore," she whispered, and then it happened. With a wet, cracking sound that would haunt Evelyn forever, the petals broke through her sternum. They unfurled, a time-lapse of impossible biology, releasing a slow, sparkling exhale of golden dust that caught the light. Then silence. Leah was gone, replaced by a grotesque, beautiful human flower. Evelyn stumbled back, choking on the overwhelming sweetness. Her heart hammered against her ribs as she fumbled for her phone, dialing emergency services. But before she could speak, she saw her own reflection in the mirror. A faint golden shimmer danced in her eyes. The next morning, STEM Bio was on lockdown. Executives were spewing excuses about environmental contamination. Evelyn cornered her supervisor, demanding the truth. "Those patients weren't contaminated," she said, her voice shaking with fury. "They were transformed. You used the same frequency research from Varel's lab, didn't you?" Her supervisor, a man usually unflappable, was pale. "Dr. Varel's data was theoretical," he stammered. "We only integrated his cellular resonance model for rapid organ repair. That's all." "Then why are my patients blooming?" she snapped. He hesitated, then his shoulders slumped in defeat. "Because the cells didn't stop regenerating. They replicated into something new. He showed her classified footage from a sealed lab. In a petri dish, human tissue was flowering like an alien coral. Microscopic petals opened and closed, releasing spores that pulsed to an invisible rhythm. "They've achieved photosynthetic fusion," he whispered, his voice filled with a horrifying mix of fear and pride. "Self-sustaining human flora." Evelyn turned away, bile rising in her throat. "You didn't heal them," she said, her voice a low growl. "You grew a new species inside people." By evening, hazmat teams surrounded the STEM Bio Tower, but it was just for show. The air across the city was already perfumed with orchids. From her office window, Evelyn watched it spread. The infected, the bloomed, moved slowly, gracefully through the streets. Their skin was luminous, their mouths releasing gentle trails of golden dust. And wherever they walked, impossible life followed. Plants grew through cracks in the asphalt, flowers blooming from the ambient heat and sound. This wasn't a plague that killed. It was an infection that rewrote life itself. That night, Evelyn made one last recording, her voice steady and clear. "This is Dr. Evelyn Shaw. The bloom phenomenon is not a disease. It is a systemic symbiosis, a hybridization of organic and botanical tissue activated by sound resonance. It's not an ending. It's reproduction." She stopped the recording and pressed a hand to her own abdomen. The warmth had started 3 days ago. Now it pulsed like a second heartbeat, a quiet hum that vibrated through her bones. She looked down. Her own skin shimmered faintly with gold. "I can feel it learning," she whispered to the empty room. The next morning, emergency broadcasts screamed across every channel. "Evacuations underway. Do not inhale the golden particulates. Avoid exposure to luminescent individuals." It was already too late. Entire neighborhoods glowed softly in the dawn light. The streets hummed with a chorus of gentle vibrations. Trees sprouted from rooftops, and lush vines curled around traffic lights. And at the epicenter of it all stood the STEM Bio Tower, every window breathing out a serene, golden light. Inside the lab, Evelyn stood before the mirrored observation glass. Her reflection smiled back, her eyes no longer her own, her veins blooming like green vines just beneath the surface. "We wanted life eternal," she said softly, her voice part of the citywide hum. "We found it." Her skin began to split, not with pain, but in quiet, graceful lines. Petals unfurled from her spine, her ribs, her face. The hum grew louder, beautiful and all-encompassing. Behind her, the building itself pulsed as if alive, roots spreading through concrete and steel. The tower was beginning to flower. From the outside, the few remaining witnesses described the sight. The skyscraper glowed like a sunrise, and then it breathed. Weeks later, new satellite images of the city came in. The center was gone, replaced by a vast golden forest. The air shimmered with pollen, and the ground was a living carpet of glowing tendrils. No bodies were ever recovered. There were only blossoms, shaped with the eerie suggestion of human faces, opening and closing in the wind. And at night, the flowers hummed. A soft, steady tone, the exact frequency recorded in Jonah Varell's final, fateful experiment.